Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something really fundamental in English. It's not just grammar. It's about communicating effectively, especially if you've got the IELTS exam coming up.
That's right. We're talking about the past simple tense.
Exactly. It pops up everywhere. Speaking, writing task 1, task 2. It's pretty crucial.
Absolutely. Getting it right isn't just about ticking a box. It's how you share experiences clearly, how you talk about past data, how you build arguments in IELTS. Nailing the past simple really does make a difference.
So our mission today is to clear up any confusion, any sort of fuzziness around the past simple. We want you to leave feeling confident, ready to use it accurately.
And maybe even with a bit of flair.
Yeah, precisely. Making those IELTS answers really land.
Think of the past simple as the engine in your storytelling car. You know, if that engine isn't running smoothly, especially for your IELTS narratives, things can get a bit choppy.
Good analogy. So this deep dive is designed to, well, tune up that engine for you. Get it running powerfully and efficiently.
That's the plan.
Okay, let's get started. How is this engine actually built? We need to look at the verbs, right? The building blocks.
Exactly. There are two main groups. First up, the regular verbs. I sometimes call them the ed crew.
Huh, the ed crew. I like that.
Yeah, because the basic rule most of the time is just to add ed to the end of the verb. So work becomes worked, ask becomes asked.
Straightforward enough for the most part, but there are always a few little exceptions, aren't there? Spelling things.
A few little tweaks. So if a regular verb already ends in an E, like decide,
You just add the D. Decided.
perfect. And what about verbs ending in a consonant plus Y, like study?
The Y changes to I, then add ed.
So studied.
You got it. Studied.
Studied.
And there's one more common one. Short verbs, like plan, ending in a single vowel, then a single consonant.
Right, you double the last consonant. So P-L-A-N-N-E-D, planned.
Exactly. Decide becomes decided. Study becomes studied. Plan becomes planned. Those cover most regular verbs.
Okay, so that's the TIG crew. What's the other group? The other group are the irregular verbs. These are, let's call them the VIPs.
VIPs. Very important past form.
Precisely. They don't follow the ed rule at all. They have their own unique past tense forms.
And there's no real trick to these, is there? It's mostly memorization.
Pretty much. You just have to learn them. But the good news is many of the most common verbs in English are irregular, so learning them pays off big time.
Okay, let's run through some key examples then. The verb to be is a big one.
Huge. In the past, simple, it becomes was for I, he, she, it.
And were for you, we, they.
Right. Then you've got have, which becomes had. Do becomes did. Go becomes.
Went. Yeah.
Say becomes said. Make becomes made. Take,
Took.
The-
Came. Saw.
get, thought.
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 Knew.
K-N-E-W.
Exactly. And that's just a sample, but they are super common. You hear them constantly.
Okay, so we know how to form them regular aid or irregular VIPs.
Yeah.
How do we actually use them in sentences? Let's start with positive statements. Simple enough. For both types, regular and irregular, apart from to be, we'll come back to that. It's just subject plus the past simple form of the verb.
So, I worked late. Or, she went home.
Perfect. Now, negatives. This is where people sometimes trip up.
Ah, yes. You need the auxiliary verb did, right.
You do. You use did not, or usually the contraction didn't, followed by the base form of the main verb.
The base form, so the original verb without ed or the irregular change.
Exactly. So, I didn't work late, not didn't worked, and she didn't go home, not didn't went.
That's a really crucial point. The did already carries the past tense meaning.
Precisely, and the same logic applies to questions.
You start with did, then the subject, then the base form again.
That's it. Did you work late? Or did she go home? Again, base form. Work, go.
Okay, makes sense. But you mentioned to be, which is different.
It is. It's special. It doesn't need did for negatives or questions. It handles things itself.
So for negatives, you just add not.
Yep. He was not happy. Or he wasn't happy. They were not ready. Or they weren't ready.
And for questions, you just invert the subject and was in Surrey.
Exactly. Was he happy? Were they ready? Simple inversion. No did in sight.
Got it. So to be is the exception there.
It is. Okay, quick check for everyone listening. Think of something you did earlier today. Say the sentence out loud. I past verb.
Okay. Now, how would you say you didn't do that? Remember, didn't plus base form.
Good practice. Right, now we've covered the how, let's move on to the when and why. When do we actually use this tense?
This is where the time machine idea comes in handy, right? We're using past simple for things that are definitely finished. Done and dusted.
Exactly. Finished actions, finished states. Our first scenario is probably the most common. A finished action at a specific point in the past.
You mean we know when it happened?
Yes, the time is either stated clearly or it's obvious from the context. Think about time signals.
Like yesterday, last week, in 2010, 5 years ago.
Perfect examples. Or, when I was young, on Monday. These anchor the action in a completed past time.
And this is vital for IELTS, isn't it? Answering those hook questions and speaking.
Definitely. What did you do last weekend? I went to the mountains. And in writing task 1, describing past data.
The number of visitors increased in July, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So, examples. The government introduced new regulations last year. I attended a really useful workshop yesterday. She completed her master's degree in 2022. All finished, specific past times.
Okay, clear. What's the next scenario?
Scenario 2. The story unfolds. This is when you describe a sequence of actions that happen one after another in the past, like telling a story.
Ah, so using past simple verbs to show the order of events.
Precisely. You often use sequence words like first, then, next, after that, finally.
Yet sometimes the order is just clear from the verbs themselves.
Right. He woke up, brushed his teeth, and made breakfast. The sequence is logical.
And this is the backbone of speaking part 2, the long turn.
Absolutely. Describing a trip, a memorable event, how you did something, it's all sequential past simple actions. And it can be useful in writing, too. Explaining a past process, maybe?
Okay, give us some examples.
Sure. First, the committee discussed the proposal, then they voted on it, and finally, they announced the decision.
Holy sequence.
Or, she found her keys, grabbed her coat, and rushed out the door.
Yep, action after action.
We researched different hotels online, compared the prices, and booked the best option.
Got it. Storytelling with past simple? What's scenario 3?
Scenario 3 is about the used-to-be situations, describing past habits or past states that are definitely over now.
Things that were true for a while in the past but aren't anymore.
Exactly. The past simple can often convey a similar meaning to the phrase used to, especially with words indicating frequency in the past.
Like often, always, sometimes.
Yeah.
But in a past context.
Right. When I was a student, I often worked late. Or, during my childhood, we always visited my grandparents in the summer.
Okay, and this is relevant for IELTS when talking about upbringing, past jobs, how things have changed.
All of those, yes. It comes up in speaking part 1, 2, and 3, discussing past routines or contrasting past and present.
So, an example.
When I lived abroad, I spoke French every day. Implies you don't live there or speak it daily now?
Or, my parents read stories to me every night. A past habit.
In the past, businesses communicated mainly by fax. A past state that's changed.
Makes sense. Past habits, past states, now finished. And the final scenario.
Final one, the historical snapshot. Using past simple for facts or general truths about the past. Things that happened or were true historically.
Okay, so stating things we know about history.
Pretty much. Providing historical context in writing task 2, maybe? Or discussing historical developments in speaking part 3?
Right, like the ancient Greeks developed democracy.
Perfect example. Or the Industrial Revolution brought huge societal changes.
Many famous painters faced difficulties early in their careers.
Exactly. These are established facts about the past.
So across all 4 scenarios, finished actions, sequences, past habit states, historical facts, the common thread is.
It's finished, completed, done and dusted in the past. If that condition is met, past simple is usually your tense.
That's the golden rule then.
That's the core idea.
Okay, that clarifies the when and why. Now, you mentioned pitfalls earlier. Let's talk pro tips and common mistakes.
Absolutely. The biggest one, we touched on it, but it bears repeating. The did plus past verb trap.
Using the past form after didn't or in a did question.
Yes. Avoid it like the plague. Remember, did or didn't already signals past tense. The main verb must be in its base form.
So always did you go, not did you went. Always we didn't see, not we didn't saw.
Please. That's probably the single most common past simple error. Does the past tense work? Let the main verb relax in its base form?
Got it. What else?
Well, those VIP verbs, the irregulars, you just got to learn them. There's no way around it.
VIP verb vigilance.
Haha, yes. Use flashcards. Practice writing sentences. Say them out loud. They are so frequent. Putting in the effort really, really pays off.
Okay. Anything else? Maybe pronunciation. That ed ending.
Ah, yes. Good point. The pronunciation of ed isn't always the same. It can sound like T as in watch,
Watch T.
or D as in played, played.
Or ed like an extra syllable as in wanted. Want, I'd, or needed. Needed.
Is this super critical for IELTS?
Honestly, getting the tense correct is more important than perfect ed pronunciation,
Yeah.
but being aware of it helps with overall clarity and sounding more natural. Don't obsess if time is tight, but it's good knowledge to have.
Right. Focus on the grammar first, refine pronunciation later if needed.
That would be my advice.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. We need some IELTS-style examples showing these different uses in action.
Agreed. Let's look at some sentences maybe grouped by those scenarios we discussed, and we'll highlight the past simple verbs.
Great. So, under finished actions, how about the council approved the new housing development last month? See, approved, clearly finished. Or she graduated with first-class honors in 2023. Graduated, done.
Nice. And for story unfolds the sequence.
Okay. First, the researchers identified the key variables, then they collected the data, and finally, they analyzed the results. Identified, collected, analyzed, step by step.
Perfect narrative flow. Another one.
He checked his email, replied to the urgent messages, and then attended the morning meeting. Checked, replied, attended.
Okay. How about the used to be category, past habits or states?
When I was a child, I spent hours exploring the woods behind my house. Spent shows a past regular activity.
Right. Or something about society.
People relied more on traditional media before the internet became ubiquitous. Relied became past state seventh.
Excellent. And historical snapshots.
Ancient Rome boasted an extensive network of roads. Boasted historical fact.
The invention of the printing press revolutionized access to information. Revolutionized major past event.
Exactly. And let's not forget negatives and questions.
Good point. Mixed examples.
Did the latest report highlight any major concerns? Did plus base verb highlight?
Why didn't the team implement the feedback sooner? Didn't plus base verb implement.
She wasn't aware of the deadline. Negative with was.
Were the results published last week? Question with were.
So you can see how varied the usage is, but the core principles remain the same. We really encourage you, the listener, to look at these examples, notice the bolded verbs, and think about why the past simple is used in each case.
Absolutely. Okay, let's wrap this up by summarizing the key takeaways. Your past simple toolkit for IELTS.
Right. First, remember the core job. Telling stories, reporting facts, describing situations that are finished and in the past.
Second, the construction kit. Regular verbs usually get ed. Watch those spelling tweaks.
And the VIP irregular verbs, you need to memorize their special past forms.
Plus, for negatives and questions, it's usually did or didn't, plus the base form.
Except for was and were, which handle negatives and questions themselves.
Third, keep those 4 IELTS scenarios in mind. Specific finished actions, story sequences, past habit states, and historical facts. Knowing these helps you choose the tense confidently.
Fourth, the accuracy goal. Laser focus on avoiding that didn't plus past verb error. Always use the base form after didn't and in did questions.
And finally, remember that using the past simple correctly shows control. It demonstrates to the examiner that you can handle basic narrative structure, which is a big part of fluency.
It really is foundational. So take a moment now. Are there any specific parts of the past simple that still feel a bit unclear after our chat today?
Okay, hopefully that's much clearer now. But the crucial thing is practice. You need to activate this knowledge.
Yes, put your superpower to use immediately. We've got a few ideas.
Go on.
First, IELTS cue card rehearsal. Grab a speaking part 2 card about a past event like, describe a journey you didn't enjoy, or describe a time you learned something new. Record yourself talking for 2 minutes. Really focus on using different past simple verbs correctly. Listen back.
Good one. What else?
Try My Yesterday journal. Just write, say, 5 to 7 sentences about yesterday, what you did, maybe what you didn't do. Use a mix of regular and irregular verbs.
Simple, quick, effective.
And one more. The VIP verb challenge. Pick maybe 3 irregular verbs each day. Write 1 positive sentence, 1 negative, and 1 question in the past simple for each verb.
So if you pick eat, you'd write something like, I ate pasta. I didn't eat breakfast. Did you eat lunch?
Exactly that. It really drills the forms and structures.
These are great practical steps. Remember, the past simple is your tool for building clear narratives about the past. Practicing these specific uses, telling stories, describing finished events, talking about past habits, builds that core skill for clear, engaging English communication.
You've put in the work listening today, now put it into practice.
Fantastic work, everyone.